Hello, good evening, madam. My name is Cindy Amanyure. I'm a first year student offering computer science, and I'm here to take you through a brief history of the development of computers, starting from the first generation up to the latest developments. And later on, we shall also be looking at I'll also be talking about the evolution of Intel x86 and ARM architecture. So, um, many inventions have taken several centuries to develop into their modern forms, and inventions are rarely the product of a single inventor's efforts. The computer is no different, however. The bits and pieces of the computer, both hardware and software, have come together over many centuries with many people and groups of people adding a small contribution. So I'm going to take you a little bit back before the first generation. We have we're coming from the abacus, the Chinese abacus. That's 3000 BC as a way to count. Pascal's mechanical calculator, the theory of Leibniz, the theories of Leibniz, Alan Turing and John Bohr, the vision of Babbage and the intellect of Lovelace, George Boole's contribution of Boolean logic, the progressive inventions of a programmable calculator to a stored programmable digital computer, and countless other inventions, to mention but a few. But individuals, groups, and each person took a step further to accumulate knowledge. Well, the title the inventor may be given to a few groups of people. It was really a contribution from many people. The vacuum. So I'm going to start with the vacuum, the first generation, which is known as the vacuum tube era. This marked the beginning of modern computing, the first technology that was fully digital, unlike the relays used in the previous computers. This was less power hungry, faster, and more reliable, beginning in 1937 and completing in 1942. The first digital computer was built by John Atanasoff and his graduate student Clifford Berry. The computer was dubbed the ABC. It was purely digital. It used vacuum tubes and did binary math. By binary, we mean logarithm. So that's 0 and 1. So it included binary math and Boolean logic to solve the 29 equations, to solve up to 29 equations at a time. In 1943, Colossus was built in collaboration with Alan Turing to assist in breaking German crypto codes, not to be confused with Turing Bombay that actually solved any completing construction in 1946. The electrical numerical integrator and computer, which was known as the ENIAC, was completed, composed of nearly 18,000 vacuum tubes and large enough to fill an entire room. Then, in 1950, the ENIAC, the electronic discrete variable automatic computer, which is known as the EDVAC, was completed, and the first stored program computer was able to operate over 1,000 instructions per second. So that's the end of the first generation. And then the second was for the second generation. It was marked in 1947, where the first silicon transistor was invented in Bell Labs, and by 1954, the first transistorized digital computer was invented, which is also known as the TRADIC. It was composed of 800 transistors and took the space of 0.085 cubic meters. That was like this. So it took 100 watts of power and could perform 1 million operations per second. Also, during this era, we begin to see major introductions on both hardware and software aspect of computing. On the hardware side, The first memory device, the random access magnetic core storage, was introduced in 1951 by Jeff Forrester. In other words, the beginning of what is now known as random access memory or RAM today. The first hard drive was introduced by IBM in 1957. It weighed 1 ton and could store 5 megabytes, costing approximately $27,000 per month in today's money. On the software side, the assembly was the first programming language to be introduced in 1949, but started really taking in this era of computing. It was introduced in, but then it was being used more. It started like taking off in this era. So the first true widely used programming language was Fortran, which is like formula translation, and it was invented by John Backus at IBM in 1954. Assembly is a low level. Sorry. Assembly is a low level language and Fortran is a high level language. So this brings us to the integrated circuit era, which is also known as the third generation. So the third generation is where the exponential trend of computing performance really began. This is in 1958, Jack Kilby invented the integrated circuit. This was a way to pack many transistors onto a single chip instead of individually wiring the transistors. So I feel like this was as it was economically feasible and it was more affordable and it took up less space and yeah, I feel like it was a very good invention. So instead of individually wiring the transistors, they were packed like as a whole and wired at once. So other inventions included the mouse, dynamic random access memory, the floppy disk, to mention but a few. Basically, it was a very good development. So now we come to the fourth generation of computer, which is characterized by the use of the microprocessor. High capacity magnetic disks are used to store data and they were smaller than what we see in the third generation in the third generation and in the second generation. They were they were smaller, faster and more reliable, whereby their speed was exponential and it was more reliable and it could give off less heat compared to the things in the previous generation. So they also introduced graphical user interfaces and the concept of personal computers. Like those days, it was basically everyone used like the same computer. But then in this generation, we see personalization, specialization of computers, whereby they became quite affordable. Yeah. So then we come to the fifth generation. So we're going to look at actually this brings us to the fifth generation. This generation is based on artificial intelligence, which most of us know as AI. Actually, it's the generation we are living in right now, so it's still in development. So there are some apps like the voice recognition, face recognition, the use of forensics, and yeah, biotechnology that are being used today. The use of parallel processing and superconductors is helping to make artificial intelligence a reality, like packing a large amount of storage onto a compact and portable device. Quantum computation and molecular nanotechnology will radically change the face of computers as in years to come. The generation's goal is to develop devices that will respond to natural language input and are capable of learning and self organizations. Examples include the IBM Watson, the Google Assistant, so on and so forth. So I want to take you through the Intel and ARM architecture. This the Intel architecture, the Intel x86 architecture, developed by Intel, has been widely used in personal computers and servers. It has evolved over time, with each new generation offering improvements in performance and power efficiency. On the other hand, ARM architecture, developed by ARM Holdings, is commonly found in smartphones, tablets, and other mobile devices. It is initially focused on low power consumption and efficiency, but since expanded to offer more powerful processors for various applications. So both architectures have undergone significant evolution, with Intel x86 processors becoming more power efficient and ARM processors becoming more powerful. And this evolution has allowed for advancements in computing across different devices and industries. So that has been my presentation. Thank you so much.